In this bulletin, COVID-19 cases soar in the Central Division. Rational thinking needed for economic recovery. And cane farmers to receive payment. And Robin Fiji. 28 cases of COVID-19 were recorded yesterday, with 151 active cases now in isolation. The second wave has a total of 244 cases since March this year. Fiji has had 314 cases in total, with 159 recoveries and 4 deaths since our first case was reported on March 19, 2020. Over 58,000 COVID-19 laboratory tests have been conducted during this current outbreak, with 98,915 tests conducted in total since testing started early last year. This does not yet include the 11,000 samples recently tested in Australia. Parliament sittings scheduled for today and next week have been cancelled. The Speaker of Parliament, Ratu Epeli Naratikau, says this decision has been made after a Secretariat staff was identified as a primary contact of a COVID-19 positive case. Ratu Epeli says as a precautionary measure and upon the directive of the Ministry of Health, the parliamentary precincts and offices will be closed with immediate effect until further notice. The Speaker of Parliament says all parliamentary business will resume upon clearance from the Health Ministry. The Fiji Chamber of Commerce is expected to meet with the Association of Banks next week, seeking support for the private sector with key focus on reducing interest rates for loans. Chamber President Dr. Nurbano Ali says more than 80% of businesses around Fiji have been impacted by the second wave of the pandemic. Ali says businesses with substantial loans are pleading for more breathing room. Apart from relaxing repayment deadlines, businesses now need interest rates to accommodate the reality that businesses have been closed for more than 10 weeks. Ali says for businesses to survive the pandemic, they need to see some goodwill from the banking sector.
Effectively, they're expecting a similar kind of relief where the banks will assist again in terms of payment deferment. And what additionally they're expecting is hopefully a reduction in the cost of finance this time.
Liquidity levels are high, which is actually quite high at the moment, given the situation. Our reserves have exceeded $3 billion. That then gives confidence to the financial institutions to be able to then, have a reflection on the interest rates.
The government will have to think rationally in order to rebuild our economy, says Prime Minister Porengem Bainimarama. One of the ways is to first get Fijians vaccinated before we move ahead. While supporting a motion amend to a loans guarantee for Fiji Airways, Bainimarama says people need to return to their jobs.
The COVID-19 pandemic has brought major economies to its knees, but Bainimarama believes for Fiji, we can survive the test if we take some bold steps.
For Fiji to open up its borders, return to strong economic activity, and resume some levels of normalcy, we need to first ensure that Fijians are safe, secure, and healthy, which is why we must all make it a priority to take the vaccine jab when the opportunity arises.
Bainimarama also acknowledged Fijians, especially in the Central Division, for showing up in huge numbers at the vaccination centers this week.
Mr. Speaker, there are and will be many more opportunities to get the jab. My government has a plan in place that will protect the whole of Fiji and its people. But we must all take heed of the advice of the Ministry of Health and abide by the COVID-safe regulations.
While necessary precautions have been taken to safeguard Fijians, Bainimarama says at the same time, they need to set the foundation for growth and development amid the pandemic. Aquila Dhama, FBC News.
Parliament has approved a motion to amend a government guarantee for the Fiji Airways borrowing of $455 million. This consists of a mix of domestic borrowing of up to 191.1 million Fijian dollars and offshore borrowings of up to 117.1 million US dollars. Sainian Imboila reports most opposition's MPs did not support the motion.
The ayes have it.
The Parliament has given the green light to guarantee the extension of the loan repayment period of the national carrier to avoid Fiji Airways being put into a corner. Members of the opposition had reservations about the amendment.
And there is going to be a guarantee that will live into perpetuity. that, and we all know that there are a lot of uncertainties, there are a lot of variables which we don't know.
Tourism Minister Fayaz Koya says it's crucial to support Fiji Airways.
Our national airline is important because we do not want our trade exports of small businesses and movement of medical supplies and movement of tourists to be at the mercy of another country.
The hundreds of jobs, of course, that can be revitalized if Fiji Airways starts flying proper scheduled flights. If you have a foreign carrier, they'll have foreign crew. If you have a foreign carrier, the catering will be done by a foreign company, not by ATS. They all go on about ATS. Do they know if only Fiji Airways no longer flies, if Qantas comes, their food will be catered for in Sydney?
Said Kayum says the national airline is feeling the full brunt of COVID-19, resulting in job losses and the grounding of flights. Sainian Imboila, FBC News.
Cane farmers nationwide will receive their fourth cane payment of $10.31 per tonne today without any deduction. Permanent Secretary for Sugar Yogesh Karan says the payment will be paid out as per the Master Award. Karan says they have undertaken consultations with stakeholders and have decided that no deductions will be made by the Fiji Sugar Corporation. He adds if farmers have borrowed funds from the Fiji Development Bank or Sugarcane Growers Fund, they will then have to make arrangements with both entities for deductions.
I have had discussions with the Sugarcane Growers Fund and FDB. So they will consider a request for farmers and I suggest that farmers urgently get in contact with them.
The livelihoods of 257 families of Kumbulau Mbua have been boosted with cash assistance from the Adventist Development Relief Agency or ADRA. Arriving at a time they needed it the most, the assistance has allowed families to buy food supplies to meet their needs. Kilaka village headman Suliana Nakaso says food security and the livelihoods of communities in the district of Kumbulau have been greatly affected by the recent natural disasters.
It was a bad state. Cassava plantation all gone. Dalo farms were flooded. Basically everything gone.
Last week, ADRA had handed cash to 257 families in the district as part of their TCASA response funded by the European Civil and Humanitarian Aid Operations. A little over 2,000 families in the Northern Division are set to benefit from this cash initiative. Up ahead, new opportunity for Fijiana. And young Navua star still hopeful. Stay with us. Welcome back. The Fijian Sevens team could potentially have a series of matches against the defending Olympic gold medalist Australia in the coming weeks. This comes as plans are underway to have Team Fiji travel to Australia for the Oceania tournament, which will also include the host team. Head coach Sayasi Fuli has confirmed they have been in camp for 6 weeks preparing for it. Getting as much game time as possible will be crucial for the Fijian Seven side, with only a few weeks remaining for the Japan Olympic Games.
Everything has to be aligned towards our prime objective, that is to train well, to prepare well, and compete well in the upcoming Oceania Games. Oceania tournament in Australia, and then head to Tokyo for the Olympic Games.
Being away from the field has not dampened the spirit of young footballer Thomas Dunn. The Navua midfielder, like others, is restricted to the confines of his home and has had to be creative to stay fit. Tali Materakula reports.
Individual training is not a setback for the 18-year-old.
It's quite hard due to the pandemic, but all is good. Just have to focus and stay fit, because don't know when things will get back to normal.
Dunn is keeping his eyes locked on the goals set out for the season.
No, nothing has changed. Goals are still there, focus is still there. Just hoping things get back to normal so that we can achieve the team goal for 2021.
Meanwhile, the Navua president is reassuring players the association will stand by them in these hard times.
Just see ways how I can help the players, and we have invested in some players, how to maintain them. It's quite a challenging moment at the moment, but I think we have some support from the Navo people, some of the business houses which have approached, they are willing to help.
Dan and other players have been receiving grocery hampers from the association and the wider Navo community to help sustain them and their families for the time being. Tali Materukula, FBC Sports.
The Touch Fiji franchise competition is not only an eye-opener and new opportunity for players. Touch rugby officials were also blessed with the first few rounds before it was put on hold due to the second wave of COVID-19 in the country. Head of referees and former national rep Malili Ulimowala says they are looking forward to the resumption of competition once restrictions are relaxed.
We've improved a lot in terms of game's knowledge and interpretation of the law during the game. And it's still work in progress for some of the inexperienced refs.
Cloudy periods with a few showers over the northeastern part of Vanuatu, Taveuni and northern Laugro. Mainly fine elsewhere. That's FBC Morning News. Join us at 7 p.m. for our major bulletin. For news you can trust, get the facts from FBC's TV, radio and digital news at fbcnews.com.fj. Take care and good morning.